We have always looked to the stars with a mixture of wonder and dread. Wonder at the infinite possibilities, dread at the unimaginable threats. But what if the greatest threat wasn't a sudden impact, a visible invasion, or a loud declaration? What if it was something far more subtle, more insidious, happening right now, beneath the veil of our everyday lives, orchestrated by an unseen hand millions of miles away? The terrifying truth is, for the last year, something profound and deeply unsettling has been happening here, on Earth. Something that only begins to make sense when viewed through the impossible lens of an interstellar visitor named 3I Atlas. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly, masked by the sheer noise of our modern world. Localized power grid failures, not widespread blackouts, but isolated outages in unexpected places. A remote stretch of farmland, a small coastal town, a high-tech industrial park far from a city center. They were dismissed as aging infrastructure, as inexplicable surges, as the mundane failings of a complex system. Then came the whispers in the global communication networks. Brief, silent outages in optical fiber systems, momentary dead zones in satellite uplinks. Engineers scratched their heads, blaming solar flares, geomagnetic storms, anything but the unsettling truth. These weren't glitches. These were signals, echoes, the first tremors of an unseen force that had arrived, not in the cosmic ballet of the heavens, but in the very fabric of our terrestrial existence. For nearly a year, these incidents remained disparate, isolated. They were anomalies that defied easy categorization, too varied, too scattered to connect. No one saw the pattern, not publicly, not officially, but a small, specialized team of astrophysicists and atmospheric chemists, driven by an almost obsessive curiosity about 3I Atlas, that colossal, 5-kilometer-wide interstellar comet with its impossible chemistry and its defiance of known physics, began a quiet, desperate search. They were analyzing its nickel tetracarbonyl signature, that industrially refined compound that simply should not exist in space. They sought a terrestrial analog, some obscure phenomenon that might explain its spontaneous cosmic generation. Instead, what they found was a discovery so profoundly disturbing, so utterly unbelievable, that its findings were immediately classified at the highest levels of global intelligence. They discovered traces of the exact same, unique nickel tetracarbonyl compound, the specific isotopic ratio, the precise molecular signature, in localized atmospheric fallout on Earth. This wasn't theoretical. This was empirical. This wasn't in industrial zones or near known nickel mining operations or emanating from volcanoes. It was detected in the atmospheric residue of those initial, inexplicable power grid failures. A chemical fingerprint, identical to that of an alien object millions of miles away, found here on our home world. This was not a coincidence. This was not contamination. This was, in a chilling and undeniable sense, an infiltration. The implications stretched beyond scientific anomaly into the realm of existential dread. A piece of the interstellar anomaly, a refined chemical signature thought to be exclusively emanating from 3I Atlas, was being detected here, right now, in our air, in our systems, embedding itself in our environment. It meant the impossible comet, which only passed by Mars, had somehow extended its influence or its essence directly to Earth. Something terrifying is indeed happening, and it has a name, 3I Atlas. But the question is no longer what it is, but what is it doing to us? The myth of a distant, indifferent universe had just been shattered, replaced by the chilling reality that we're not merely observed, but actively engaged by an unseen, incomprehensible force that operates through means we cannot begin to fathom. The silent invasion had begun, and we were the unwitting hosts, and this was just the beginning. The early whispers of a new, terrifying myth began to circulate in classified circles, that 3I Atlas was not merely a passive object, but an active agent, that its presence was not a random flyby, but a deliberate deployment. The specific industrial nature of the nickel tetracarbonyl, combined with its seemingly impossible appearance on Earth, suggested a level of precision and technological capability that dwarfed anything humanity possessed. This wasn't a meteor shower. This was a targeted delivery system, operating with an efficiency that bordered on the miraculous. The power grid failures, the communication glitches, these were not collateral damage. They were, perhaps, the energetic footprint of a highly advanced, utterly silent deployment. An invisible hand depositing a signature of its presence, rewriting the very chemistry of our planet without our knowledge or consent. The myth of an indifferent cosmos died in the shadow of this single, terrifying discovery. This wasn't a story of distant stars. This was a horror story unfolding on our doorstep, written in an alien script of refined metals and inexplicable energy. And the implications were only just beginning to unfold. The stage was set for a terrifying confrontation, not with visible invaders, but with an invisible, omnipresent force that threatened to redefine everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. This was the moment the myth became reality, and the reality became a nightmare. The discovery, Earth's silent engagement, the revelation of the shared chemical fingerprint, the specific industrial-grade nickel tetracarbonyl, linked the interstellar behemoth, through Seattle, directly to inexplicable incidents on Earth. It was a cosmic smoking gun, but this terrifying connection was only the first layer of a far deeper, more insidious mystery. As the classified data accumulated, a chilling pattern emerged suggesting that our planet was not merely experiencing a random visitation, but a systematic, escalating engagement orchestrated by this unseen entity. Let us revisit the core anomalies of 3I Atlas itself. This colossal object, 5 kilometers in diameter, had already rewritten the rules of astrophysics before its terrestrial connection was even conceived. It hurtled through our solar system at a velocity exceeding 209,000 kilometers per hour, on a hyperbolic trajectory that confirmed its extrasolar origin. Yet, this trajectory was unnervingly precise, aligned with our solar system's ecliptic plane, the orbital path of our own planets, with a statistical improbability that defied random chance. This was a path not merely taken, but seemingly chosen. Then there was its defiant physics, an anti-tail, a plume of material streaming directly towards the sun, in stark, undeniable opposition to the overwhelming force of solar radiation pressure. This was no fragile comet yielding to cosmic forces. It behaved like a structurally sound, controlled entity, seemingly generating its own directed thrust. These were the cosmic facts that fueled Dr. Avi Loeb's controversial hypothesis. 3I Atlas was not a natural object, but a piece of extraterrestrial technology. But now these cosmic anomalies had terrestrial reflections. As the discovery of the shared nickel tetracarbonyl sent shockwaves through the classified scientific community, the Pattern Anomaly Group, an ad hoc, highly compartmentalized team of leading minds, began to overlay the terrestrial incident reports with the astronomical data. What they found was a terrifying, undeniable correlation. The initial power grid failures were not isolated. They were prototypes, the leading edge of an escalating series of incidents that were too diverse, too geographically dispersed, and too consistently anomalous to be dismissed as mere coincidence. The most prominent of these new terrestrial echoes were the atmospheric flashes. High-altitude cameras, originally designed for sophisticated weather monitoring, satellite reconnaissance, or ballistic missile defense, began to capture brief, intense, inexplicable bursts of light in the upper atmosphere. These were not lightning strikes, which have distinct electrical signatures. They were not meteors, which follow predictable trajectories and burn up with different chemical traces. These were sudden, powerful discharges of energy, localized and silent, appearing at consistent altitudes, often preceding or accompanying the further spread of the nickel tetracarbonyl. These flashes, once dismissed as sensor glitches, were now seen as energetic footprints. Concurrently, sensitive ground-based electromagnetic (EM) sensors, typically employed for seismic activity, geomagnetic research, or military communications intelligence, recorded powerful, highly localized EM pulses. These were not the chaotic burst of natural solar activity, or the broad spectrum of anthropogenic interference. These pulses were precisely timed, remarkably stable in their frequency, exhibiting a coherent waveform unlike any known natural phenomenon. Their origin point was consistently located just above the affected terrestrial areas, correlating eerily with the high-altitude flashes. The EM pulses were not random noise, they were patterned broadcasts. Most chillingly, in several regions immediately following these EM pulses, local wildlife began to exhibit bizarre and unsettling behavioral changes. Birds would disorient, crashing into structures or flying in confused erratic patterns. Fish would die in unusually localized tight clusters in lakes and rivers, their demise defying known environmental toxins. In rare, unconfirmed, but terrifyingly persistent, reports emanating from highly secure research facilities investigating these animal anomalies, instances of severe acute radiation sickness were observed in wild animals, with no discernible external radiation source or contaminant. The animals were not merely affected, they were being modified. These incidents, the atmospheric flashes, the localized EM pulses, the biological anomalies, had been meticulously scrubbed from public records, relegated to obscure scientific journals, or dismissed as statistical outliers. They were too diverse, too geographically spread, too inexplicable to connect. But when the comprehensive database of these terrestrial incidents was overlaid with the precise trajectory and observational windows of 3i Atlas, a horrifying, undeniable truth began to solidify. Earth was not simply being observed by 3i Atlas, it was being engaged. The cosmic anomaly had become a terrestrial phenomenon, and the pattern suggested a deliberate escalating interaction, a silent global experiment where Earth was the unwitting laboratory. The implications were no longer purely scientific, they were deeply, existentially terrifying. The contradiction, the implants in the invisible hand. The terrestrial nickel tetracarbonyl, the high-altitude flashes, the precise EM pulses, the biological anomalies. Each piece of evidence, when viewed in isolation, could be dismissed as an extreme natural occurrence. But when correlated with the anomalous behavior of 3i Atlas, a scientific contradiction of monumental proportions emerged. How could a specific chemical signature, originating from an object millions of miles away, an object that merely passed through our solar system, suddenly manifest itself on Earth without any discernible physical delivery mechanism? This wasn't a problem of astrophysics, it was a fundamental challenge to the laws of energy, matter, and transfer itself. Traditional physics offers no explanation for such a phenomenon. The vast distances involved, combined with the lack of any direct physical contact, makes it utterly impossible for this complex organic metallic compound to simply drift to Earth or be carried by conventional means. This wasn't merely dust, it was a sophisticated chemical deposit, implying an energy transfer system so advanced it rendered our most cherished scientific principles obsolete. The localized power grid failures, the atmospheric flashes, the EM pulses, they were not random events. They were the visible manifestations of this impossible transfer, the energetic footprint of a technology that allowed 3i Atlas to project, transmit, or even implant its signature material onto Earth without any direct physical interaction. And then the anti-tail, that physics-defying plume of material pointing directly at the sun. What if its purpose wasn't merely a bizarre defiance, but a deliberate act of transmission? Mainstream science had struggled to explain the anti-tail, positing exotic, unknown forms of cometary outgassing. But within the classified intelligence communities, and among the pattern anomaly group, a more terrifying hypothesis took root. The anti-tail was not an exhaust port, but a directed energy emitter, a focused, coherent beam of energy, far beyond our understanding. Its sunward orientation, far from being a flaw, was a masterstroke of camouflage. By directing its primary energy signature toward the massive, blinding electromagnetic noise of the sun, it made its true, subtle emissions in other directions, specifically towards Earth, almost impossible for our telescopes to detect. It was a cosmic misdirection, hiding its true purpose in plain sight. The precision of 3i Atlas's trajectory aligned with the ecliptic, its unnervingly close pass by Mars. These were not simply coincidences for observation. They were optimal positions for targeting. Mars, in this chilling scenario, ceased to be merely a planetary observer. It became a cosmic repeater station, a relay, a strategic point from which 3i Atlas could calibrate and refine its directed energy transmission. And Earth, a planet teeming with the very life it was silently engaging, became the designated receptor. The EM pulses, the atmospheric flashes, The subtle chemical depositions. These were not random environmental events. They were the deliberate energetic signature of a highly advanced, utterly silent implantation process. This isn't a conventional invasion. There are no alien warships filling our skies, no broadcasts demanding surrender, no direct overt threats. This is a subtle, almost surgical infiltration, a quiet, terrifying process where an alien entity from millions of miles away is subtly altering our environment, our technology, perhaps even our biology. The power grid failures are not just failures. They are the result of unseen energy interacting with our sensitive electrical systems, possibly for calibration or for disruption. The communication network glitches are not just glitches. They are moments of interference, potentially to mask its own transmissions or to probe our data flows. The ultimate implication is chillingly profound. There's something terrifying happening on Earth right now as a silent, unseen terraforming, or perhaps a repurposing, of our world. It is initiated by a colossal object we cannot reach, cannot understand, and may be utterly powerless to stop. The greatest contradiction is that we are experiencing a form of first contact, not with an alien visitor landing, but with an alien presence embedding itself within our very reality, without our consent or even our awareness. This is not a story of distant stars. This is a horror story unfolding on our doorstep, written in an alien script of refined metals and inexplicable energy. The invisible hand has extended its reach, and its touch is reshaping our world in ways we're only just beginning to comprehend, leaving behind not craters, but chemical fingerprints, and a profound, terrifying uncertainty about the future of our very existence. Within the secure, windowless rooms where the most unsettling truths are whispered, the official narratives of unrelated glitches and unidentifiable natural phenomena have crumbled. The data, once scattered and dismissed, has been meticulously compiled, correlated and analyzed by an informal, highly compartmentalized task force known only as the Pattern Anomaly Group. Their conclusion is stark, terrifying, and now undeniably evident. The terrestrial events, from the anomalous nickel fallout to the escalating EM pulses and the biological oddities, are unequivocally linked to 3I Atlas. They are not coincidental, they are orchestrated. The Pattern Anomaly Group comprises leading theoretical physicists, atmospheric chemists, electromagnetic engineers, and astrobiologists, drawn from across the globe under extraordinary circumstances. Their initial premise was simple. If 3I Atlas truly possessed an industrially refined chemical signature, and if that same signature was appearing on Earth, then the universe was no longer a realm of passive observation but active engagement. The scientific skepticism of Dr. Marcus Thorne, who had publicly maintained that the terrestrial nickel findings were merely intriguing and likely attributable to undiscovered forms of geological outgassing, was meticulously dismantled by the overwhelming weight of evidence. The terrestrial nickel wasn't a natural emission, it was an injection. According to Dr. Evelyn Reed, a theoretical physicist within the Pattern Anomaly Group whose voice carried the weight of profound, uneasy conviction, the probability of the specific nickel isotopic signature appearing spontaneously in remote areas on Earth at the same time we observed it in 3I Atlas is 0. It's a statistical impossibility beyond any known natural process. It's more than a match. It's a transfer. Our current models of energy and matter, our very understanding of how information and material can traverse vast interstellar distances, are simply insufficient. This isn't outgassing. This is transmission, a deliberate deployment of complex chemical agents onto our home world. The group's theory paints a chilling picture. The anti-tail, that physics-defying plume pointing towards the sun, is not emitting simple gas. It is a highly complex metamaterial payload emitter, designed to be undetectable by conventional means. This payload, upon reaching Earth's atmosphere, is theorized to break down into its constituent elements, including the telltale nickel tetracarbonyl, upon impact or interaction with our planetary atmosphere. The EM pulses and the high-altitude atmospheric flashes are not side effects. They are the energetic footprint of this directed, precise, and utterly alien delivery system. The anti-tail acts as a gravitational lens or a highly advanced warp, field generator allowing for the selective directed transfer of matter energy across millions of miles. This means 3I Atlas isn't merely dumping its industrial waste. It is precisely, consistently, and without any visible trace, depositing complex chemical agents onto specific locations on Earth. Locations that often correlate with areas of critical infrastructure, sensitive ecological zones, or high-density population centers. This isn't random. This is a purposeful deployment, part of an unfolding, incomprehensible plan, and the purpose, whatever it may be, is not for our benefit. The Pattern Anomaly Group has catalogued hundreds of these terrestrial impact zones, noting their expanding geographical spread and their escalating frequency, all meticulously correlating with 3i Atlas's trajectory through the inner solar system. The data is a cold, stark testament to a methodical, unfolding process. The truly chilling aspect, the kicker in this cosmic horror story, is the detailed model proposed by the Pattern Anomaly Group for the anti-tail. They believe it operates on a principle akin to a focused energy projector, allowing for the precise, directed transfer of matter energy across vast distances. The nickel tetracarbonyl isn't just emitted, it's beamed. This means 3i Atlas isn't merely dumping its industrial waste, it is precisely, consistently, and without any visible trace, depositing complex chemical agents onto specific locations on Earth. Locations that often correlate with areas of critical infrastructure, sensitive ecological zones, or high-density population centers. This isn't random, it's a purposeful deployment, and the purpose, whatever it may be, is not for our benefit. The pattern suggests a systematic alteration, a subtle, invisible terraforming, or perhaps a reconnaissance of a far more sinister kind. The greatest mystery is no longer what is 3i Atlas, but what is it turning Earth into? If the terrifying hypothesis of the Pattern Anomaly Group holds true, it forces a radical and devastating redefinition of invasion. This is not a kinetic assault, not a conventional war fought with visible fleets. This is a biological, chemical, and electromagnetic seeding, a slow, silent terraforming orchestrated from millions of miles away, transforming our planet from the inside out. The implications for science, for technology, and for the very future of humanity are not just profound, they are existential. Our understanding of interstellar travel, of energy manipulation across unimaginable distances, and even of the fundamental principles of biology will be utterly shattered. This colossal object, 3i Atlas, possesses a technology so far beyond our comprehension that it renders our most advanced scientific theories obsolete. It is capable of altering a planet's fundamental composition, its atmospheric chemistry, and its electromagnetic field without ever making physical landfall. This is not science fiction. This is science fact, unfolding in real time beneath our unsuspecting skies. The real-world impact is not a theoretical future. It is a present reality, escalating with terrifying speed. The mysterious power outages, once localized and infrequent, are becoming more widespread, lasting longer, and affecting critical infrastructure across vast geographical areas. Communication networks are suffering from increasingly severe and inexplicable ghost data, brief periods of system paralysis, and subtle alterations to data packets that baffle and terrify engineers. These are not mere glitches. They are the electromagnetic signature of a planet under active external manipulation. Environmental agencies, grappling with bewildering datasets, are struggling to explain localized rapid mutations in microbial life in areas coincident with the nickel tetracarbonyl fallout. Soil samples reveal bizarre new microbial colonies, exhibiting unprecedented growth rates and metabolizing compounds never before seen in nature. Some plant species are undergoing accelerated, inexplicable growth, their foliage turning strange hues, while others are mysteriously withering and dying en masse, their root system showing signs of rapid, unexplained decay. This isn't just localized ecological disturbance. This is a direct threat to our global ecosystems, our biodiversity, and our long-term food security. The ultimate what-if scenario, whispered in the darkest corners of the Pattern Anomaly Group's command centers, is this. What if the nickel tetracarbonyl, the EM pulses, the atmospheric flashes, aren't merely byproducts but an active catalyst? What if their deployment is meticulously designed to trigger a specific atmospheric reaction, a profound biological shift, or a global electromagnetic resonance that prepares Earth for a larger final phase of its unknown mission? What if we are merely in the initial stages of a planetary-scale incubation, designed to alter Earth's environment to suit an entirely different alien biology or to repurpose its resources for an incomprehensible alien agenda. The implications stretch beyond mere survival. They speak to the very definition of what it means for Earth to be ours. This is not a question of if humanity is at a major crossroads, but when we will collectively acknowledge the terror that stalks our planet. Are we witnessing a major, irrevocable shift in Earth's fundamental composition? A slow motion, invisible re-engineering of our planet, orchestrated by an intelligence we cannot detect, cannot understand, and may be utterly powerless to stop? Is the very ground beneath our feet, the air we breathe, the water we drink, being silently, terrifyingly repurposed? The escalating anomalies paint a grim picture. 3i Atlas is not just a cosmic phenomenon, it is an active agent, and Earth is its target. The deadline is looming, defined by 3i Atlas's departure from our solar system, suggesting that whatever its mission, it is designed to be completed before its departure. The question is not if Earth will change, but what it will become, and whether humanity will be able to survive the transformation. The terrifying journey of 3i Atlas from distant cosmic anomaly to present-day terrestrial threat forces us to confront an unbearable truth. The nickel without iron, the sunward jet, the precise trajectory, the increasingly frequent terrestrial anomalies. These were not just scientific puzzles, they were warnings. They were the visible mechanisms of a subtle, calculated implantation process. They were the unmistakable footsteps of a silent judgment being passed upon our world. The synthesis of all available data leads to one horrifying, inescapable conclusion. We are not dealing with a natural comet. We are dealing with an agent of change, a massive interstellar seed that is systematically altering our planet. The power outages, the EM pulses, the biological shifts, these are not merely symptoms of Earth's ongoing, silent, terrifying transformation. They are its accelerating progression. The classified reports now paint a grim, almost apocalyptic picture. Earth is being silently remade. The question of what has 3i Atlas done to Mars now pales in comparison to the dread of what is it doing to Earth. The latest classified reports suggest that the frequency and intensity of these terrestrial anomalies are increasing as 3i Atlas makes its closest approach to the inner solar system before it slingshots away into the void. This means the deployment, the seeding, the silent repurposing of our planet is reaching its climax. And when 3i Atlas finally departs, what will it leave behind? Will we even recognize the world that remains? The final, chilling revelation from the Pattern Anomaly Group is not about the comet itself, but about the Earth's fate. Their most recent, deeply disturbing models predict a critical threshold. As 3i Atlas completes its slingshot maneuver around the Sun and begins its long journey out of our solar system, the accumulated effects of its silent implantation will reach a point of no return. The chemical agents, the electromagnetic resonance, the biological catalysts, they will have achieved a state of self-sustained criticality. The transformation of Earth, once merely influenced by 3i Atlas, will become an independent, irreversible process. The alien hand will withdraw, but its work will continue relentlessly. This is the ultimate, terrifying legacy of 3i Atlas. Not just a visit, but a verdict. It arrived, it engaged, it altered. And then it will leave us to live with the consequences of its silent judgment. The future of Earth, no longer solely in human hands, will be shaped by the incomprehensible will of an unseen intelligence millions of miles away. Our planet, once vibrant and familiar, will become a testament to an alien agenda, its very essence irrevocably transformed. We once looked to the stars with hope. Now we must look to the very ground beneath our feet and the air that we breathe with a profound, terrifying certainty. Earth has been changed. The myth of a solitary humanity has been shattered. The terrifying reality is that we are not alone, and the price of that discovery is the very world we inhabit. What solace can we find in a universe that reclaims its planets with such terrifying, silent grace? What hope remains when the very fabric of our reality has been woven into an alien tapestry? The information you have just heard is a fraction of what is known. The truth is unfolding faster than any government can control. Share this video, wake up to what's happening, because next week we will delve into the desperate classified attempts by global agencies to survive the silent transformation. It may already be too late for Earth, but perhaps there is still hope for humanity.